I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, I'm just trying to get a handle on what you said. So you came with enthusiasm. You encountered John Watkins, who was filled with enthusiasm. Dr. Gilbert had enthusiasm about the project. The students responded with all sorts of cognitive drive. They were curious, and their needs were satisfied by the program?
It had a generalized effect. There's no question about that. And it was admired by the parole board, for example, and they heard about it and so forth. But one day, a member of this group, during the experimental phase, said to me, he said, "Doctor, don't you think that the parole board would be particularly interested in this rehabilitation type of program here, and do you think we could invite them there to come and take, would you like to do that?" I said, "Yes." I said, I'm sorry, I hadn't thought of that before. Thank you. So I said, "I'll ask the warden." So I went to Mr. John Watkins and I said, what do you think about inviting, the next day met there monthly, the parole board, because three-man parole board, and inviting them there to see the project. And he said, "I wished I'd have thought of that myself." So he said, "Of course." So the parole board was headed up by a gentleman by the name of, they called him Preacher Swearingen. And he was a fine gentleman. And as he was a minister. And so they came in, the three of them came in, and Reverend Swearingen started asking questions about them and what they were doing. And he said, I didn't know this was, "Doctor, I didn't know this was going on. I'm very pleased to see this rehabilitation effort." So he worked his way back. And these men at that time started doing programming themselves, writing programs. They were excited about it, and they wanted to do it as an enterprise, just not anything but the excitement of doing it. So finally worked his way to this gentleman, this prisoner who suggested we brought him in. And there were three of them working on a project, developing, programming something. I wasn't even sure what it was at that time. And Preacher Swearingen went up to this prisoner and says, "What are you three men doing?" He said, "Well, sir, we're programming the book of St. John." And he said, "My gosh, you are?" He said, "Why?" He said, "Sir, one of the reasons that so many prisoners are here is that they have not gotten the word of the Lord and from the Bible. And we wanted to make it easier for them to learn it. And if they could be easier if we programmed it and gave it to them." He says, "Doctor, I am absolutely amazed that this is going on like this." And he said, "Gentlemen, what are your three names?" He took their three names down. Within 6 months, all three were paroled. I realized when they started telling him about the book of St. John, they were programming the book of St. John, and they made a remark to the preacher, "I know you agree, Reverend, that this is an important book in the Bible." He said, "It is the best in the New Testament." And they had figured that out. I figured it out too. And so they were programming it, and they were generally programming it. There was no joke about that. And but their motives were a little bit maybe colored by what transpired later. But and the warden, when I told him, I said, "Here they are. They're paroled in 6 months." He said, "They did the right thing." He said, "They did the right thing for the wrong reasons. These men should be out anyway." So.